In the early, chaotic years of Pakistan's independence, one man moved quietly through the ranks, not with loud speeches or grand promises, but with calculated discipline and quiet ambition. His name was General Ayub Khan. Born in 1907 in a modest village in Haripur, British India, Ayub came from a humble Pathan background. He joined the British Indian Army in 1928, one of the very few native Muslims to become an officer in those days. Intelligent, obedient, and methodical, he rose steadily through the ranks, eventually being selected for training at the prestigious Staff College in Quetta. By 1947, when Pakistan was carved out of India, Ayub Khan was a seasoned military officer. When General Douglas Gracie, the British Commander-in-Chief, retired, Ayub Khan was appointed Pakistan's first native Commander-in-Chief, a monumental shift in power. But Ayub was not just a soldier. He was a strategist, and he knew how fragile the new state was. Between 1947 and 1958, Pakistan's civilian governments crumbled one after another. There were constant changes in prime ministers, infighting in parliament, and no consensus on a constitution until 1956. The country was divided not just between East and West Pakistan, but between ideologies, languages, and leaderships. In this political vacuum, Ayub waited. In 1958, President Iskandar Mirza, frustrated by the instability, abolished the constitution and declared martial law. He appointed General Ayub Khan as Chief Martial Law Administrator, believing he could control him. He was wrong. Just 20 days later, Ayub struck back. On the night of October 27th, Ayub Khan summoned a small group of loyal officers, entered the presidential palace in Karachi, and forced Iskandar Mirza to resign at gunpoint. The next morning, newspapers across Pakistan announced, General Ayub Khan takes over, end of civil rule. There was no bloodshed, no protests, no resistance. Ayub declared that democracy had failed Pakistan and that only strong leadership could save the country. In a national address, he said, "We were not ready for Western-style democracy. What we need is discipline, unity, and direction." What followed was a decade of radical transformation. Ayub introduced massive land reforms, breaking up large feudal estates. He built dams, roads, and factories, launched economic planning, and brought in American investment. Pakistan's economy grew. Foreign leaders praised his modernist vision. Cities expanded. Islamabad, the new capital, rose from nothing. For many, the 1960s were Pakistan's golden era. But the cost was freedom. Ayub silenced dissent, banned opposition parties, censored the press, and passed laws to consolidate power. His basic democracy system gave the illusion of public participation, but he held total control. In 1965, Ayub challenged India militarily in Kashmir, believing India was weak after losing a war with China. Pakistan launched Operation Gibraltar, sending soldiers disguised as locals into Indian territory. The gamble failed. India responded with full-scale war. The 17-day conflict ended in a stalemate, and though Pakistan claimed moral victory, the truth was far more complicated. Behind the scenes, his relationship with Foreign Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto fractured, and the public mood turned dark. The economy slowed, inflation rose, and in East Pakistan, resentment grew. Ayub had ignored the Bengali population for too long. By 1969, protests broke out across Pakistan. Students, laborers, lawyers, and politicians took to the streets. Riots spread. Slogans like Ayub Kutta echoed from Karachi to Dhaka, cornered and isolated. Ayub Khan resigned on March 25, 1969, handing power to General Yahya Khan, another military man. He faded into silence, living in Rawalpindi until his death in 1974. No farewell parade, no apology, no public reckoning. To some, he was the man who modernized Pakistan. To others, he was the one who broke its democratic backbone. But no one denies this. Ayub Khan was the first Pakistani general to take power with the stroke of a pen, not the sound of gunfire. And once he showed it was possible, others followed.